guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Renee Michelle. Thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to hit that like button, that subscribe button, and that share button. It's all free. Thank you guys for listening to my content. I really do appreciate it. Today I got a story coming out of Flint and coming out of Atlanta. Both of these stories are kind of similar. The first one that happened back in 2011. We're going to talk about the maternity issue of Black women when they give birth and why we are more likely to die giving birth.
Among Black infants, it is more than twice as high as white non-Hispanic babies here in Georgia. 12.2 deaths among Black infants per 1,000 births. Compare that to 5.4 among white infants per 1,000 births. And that mirrors a national trend too. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services launched an investigation back in July into how Black mothers are treated during childbirth. Health advocates say Black women need better support during pregnancy and birth to help save both mothers and their babies.
It says a Missouri obstetrician separated a baby's head from his body during a delivery, then shoved the newborn back inside the mother. And then after that, performed an emergency C-section to cover up the fact that he ripped the baby's head from his body. Artisha Bates and Travis Arnett of Forensic Flint filed a 10-count complaint in St. Louis County Circuit Court last month, claiming a doctor wrongly pushed them to have a vaginal delivery, decapitating their son, then tried to cover it up. During the February 11, 2011 appointment, the couple claimed Dr. Susan Moore told them their baby boy would have to be delivered by cesarean because the baby's abdomen was too large for a normal birth. Bates went into labor on March 22nd, just 28 weeks into a normal 40-week pregnancy. The delivering doctor at St. John Mercy Medical Center, Dr. Gilbert Webb, refused to perform a C-section and would only agree to deliver her baby by way of attempting a trial. Y'all hear me? A trial. They wouldn't have did that to Becky. A trial vaginal delivery. Okay? That's just so sad. Webb refused to allow them to go to a different hospital. They wouldn't have refused Jack Doodoo. You know what I'm saying? They wouldn't have refused nothing because I would have went to another hospital. Bates consent to a trial vaginal delivery under duress and protested, the complaint said. I'm pretty sure she did. During the birth, the baby's head breached, but the rest of the body got stuck into the birth canal, the complaint said. The boy's head and body back into the mother and scrambled to perform a C-section. Sliced it into Bates before anesthesia kicked in. So she felt all that. During the procedure, Webb surgically and completely removed the boy, the complaint said. The doctor then tried to cover up the boy's wounds before heading him over to his parents. That's sad. The couple accused the group of wrongful death, negligence, and is seeking an emphasis. This happened in 2011.
In 2016, Kira Johnson went in for a scheduled C-section. Here's the moment right before the procedure. She kisses her first son goodbye just minutes before she was set to welcome her second child into the world. 12 hours later, she passed away. Her procedure was rushed, only lasting 17 minutes. In the following hours, there were signs that she had internal bleeding. But when her husband sounded the alarm, one nurse allegedly told him his wife wasn't a priority. Well, Kira's husband, Charles Johnson, joins me now. He has filed a wrongful death lawsuit and claims a culture of racism at the hospital led to his wife's death. Charles, I'm so sorry you lost your wife on what is supposed to be such a joyous day, welcoming your new child into the world. You believe, though, that if your wife was white, she'd still be alive today. What have you learned about the difference in care based on race at this hospital?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, thank you so much for having me. And so this has been a long journey for us. But immediately after Kira passed, as I began to just kind of reconstruct what happened, I was thinking something wasn't right. And in my heart, I believed that the treatment that we received was attributed to the color of our skin. And that's a heavy burden to carry. And that was a feeling, but what we've learned through the discovery process is that's no longer a thought, that's a fact. We have former employees and current employees from Cedars-Sinai that are on record speaking directly to the culture of racism at this hospital and how it contributed to Kira's death. That afternoon, that day, and for 12 hours that we advocated for Kira, I felt the feeling that many African Americans feel, and that's feeling invisible, particularly at a time when you're so vulnerable. And we have heard from so many, not only employees speaking directly to Kira's case, but employees and patients coming out of the woodwork. And so when we couple that with what's going on a broader scale nationwide, we know that the CDC's data shows us that African American women are 6 times more likely to die in childbirth than their Caucasian counterparts, right? And so when we put all these things together, we understand that Kira was not only in good health, she was in exceptional health. But the greatest risk factor that she faced was racism. And so my hope is that by filing this lawsuit and exposing this culture of racism and pushing for accountability, that this will protect other families from the nightmare that we've been through.
It's just heartbreaking seeing that video of her smiling just before her C-section. If you would, take us back to the extent that you can and can feel comfortable to when you noticed something wasn't right and just that sort of desperate search for help, like my wife could be dying.
Yeah. So when Kira was done with the procedure, they took us back to recovery. And we went in for Langston's delivery around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And she's there resting, relaxing. And that's when things took a turn for the worse. As she's resting, I look down and I begin to see blood coming from the Foley catheter at her bedside. And this is around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I bring it to the attention of the doctors and the nurses. And they came in, they examined her physically, they ordered blood work, and they ordered a CT scan that was supposed to perform stat. And by stat, I thought that meant immediately, right? And so I was concerned, but I'm thinking my wife is healthy, my baby is healthy, and we're at Cedars-Sinai, and this is supposed to be the best of the best. And what took place over the next 10 hours is still extremely difficult for me to wrap my mind around. We begged and pleaded and advocated for her consistently. And those pleas literally fell on deaf ears. We were ignored. We were given the runaround. We were dismissed. We were disrespected. And the sad truth is that as painful as this is, Kira is not an anomaly in this country. This is a pattern at not only at Cedars-Sinai, but at institutions throughout our country that African Americans and minorities are not receiving equitable care. And it's really time, this must change. We must take a strong definitive stance against racism in healthcare because it's having catastrophic consequences.
And you're not just trying to collect damages, you also want the hospital to make specific changes. Walk us through that.
Absolutely. And so for me, that's one of the most difficult things about this is that for me, for the past 6 years, I've been consistent about asking for 2 things. And for me, they're quite simple. One is transparency, and the other one is accountability. Transparency about what is it that happened to Kira? How is it that you let a woman that wasn't in just good health, she was in exceptional health, walk into your hospital? We trusted you. I trusted Cedars-Sinai with the most precious thing in my life and not walk out to raise her voice, right? Transparency about what it is that you're doing as an institution to make sure that this doesn't happen to other mothers. And they refuse to answer either of those questions. But then accountability for every single person that was involved in Kira's care, right? And it would be wonderful and would go a long way if they would simply accept responsibility. Because I think this is a moment for them to really take a stand and have an opportunity to make a difference, because somewhere right now, as we approach Mother's Day, there's a family just like mine that is preparing to trust this place the same way that I did. And for me, it's an uneasy feeling knowing what I know about Cedars-Sinai and the true culture of what's going on there.
The story you just heard was Judge Hatchett. You may have remember her on the Court TV show. That was her daughter-in-law that died in 2016. Black women are 3 to 4 times more likely to die from pregnancy-related complications than white women. One of the biggest reasons is racism. Black women are not monitored carefully as white women. When we have symptoms or we say we are in pain, it is easily dismissed. They don't care. We're not in pain. There's no way we could be feeling the way we're feeling. You know, it wasn't our choice to be born Black, you know, but the healthcare system is killing Black people, period. You ain't even got to be pregnant. Just period. You go to the hospital for the minor thing. You may not walk out, you know. And it's just sad because that places fear in our community. When we need to get the help that we need, we're afraid because of situations like this. We really need to be screaming to, you know, the heavens to try to change this, because it's really people out there that in dire need of help. Really need to see the doctor. Really need to get their healthcare situation taken care of. I'm bringing this to the attention to my viewers. I want y'all to speak out. I want y'all to, you know, advocate for Black women, Black people, you know, to get better health care. You know, it's just a sad thing. Very sad. And this next story that you're about to listen to just happened, I believe, a couple of weeks ago, maybe in July. Now, this is just sad to me. Like, it really breaks my heart. Really breaks my heart that this young woman has to go through this. I really feel her pain just looking at her. The trauma that these women had to go through. I'm sorry if y'all hear the emotion in my voice, because I really do feel like this is really a stigma. And I just seen on Instagram the other day where a security guard would not leave her job. They would not let her leave her job when she stated that she was having labor pains and her baby was born dead. In that situation, I would have just left regardless. You know what I'm saying? Even though I know she may have needed that job, but honey, you have to do what you got to do. And my heart goes out to these women because it's hard as it is. And when you're losing a child, it is really hard. And then for a parent to lose the spouse, it is really hard. So we have to stand up and put these people accountable. Because there's no way they could get away with doing stuff like that. No way. But I'm going to leave this last video for you guys to ponder on. Don't forget to hit that like button, that subscribe button, and that share button. This shit is real. For real, for real.
Suing a Riverdale hospital for malpractice, saying their son died doing a botched surgery. 11 Live Molly Oaks spoke with attorneys. So, Molly, they filed a lawsuit earlier today? They filed a lawsuit against the doctor, the hospital, and others involved in the delivery, which happened about a month ago. Lawyers say the woman went into labor on July 9th. Now, we do want to warn you, some of the allegations in the lawsuit are graphic.
This is one of the most sad, egregious, horrific situations that I've ever seen.
Inside Southern Regional Medical Center 1 month ago, lawyers say a couple was preparing to welcome their first child into the world.
But unfortunately, their dreams and hopes turned into a nightmare that was covered up by Southern Regional Medical Center.
Lawyers say Jessica Ross went into labor for 10 hours on July 9th. When complications arose, they say the doctor did not call for proper emergency procedures in a timely manner, calling the doctor negligent.
For applying ridiculously excessive force on the baby's head and neck.
Then lawyers say Ross was moved to get a C-section.
The feet came out, body came out, and there was no head.
After, Ross was not allowed to hold her child, only view him from behind the glass, according to her attorneys, who say the hospital tried to cover up what happened to her baby.
Up to that point, they had encouraged the family to, hey, just have a cremation done. Oh, no, you cannot do a autopsy. Well, if you want an autopsy, you have to get it paid for you by yourself. You're not entitled to that.
Ross's attorneys claim she didn't learn of the injuries they're now describing until 3 days after she gave birth. We reached out to the hospital for a response to the lawsuit, which says in part that it denies the allegations and says the doctor mentioned is not an employee of the hospital.